Hi there, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to explain some of the Fusion 360 features that I use for lure and mold design. I think this tutorial is also good for people who just want to do 3D modeling in general. So let's get started. This is what it looks like when you first open the Fusion 360. On the left, there's an object browser which shows a list of everything you created. But now we don't have anything, so there's only origin, and you can expand this. Now it's invisible, so you can click the eye icon, make it visible, and you can click individual ones as well. On the right, there's a viewing cube. Let's load an object so it's easier to see how to manipulate it. So basically, you can drag the cube, and the object will rotate the way you drag the cube. And also you can click the predefined name on the cube, like front, and you can drag it, turn it, and also you can click the home and it will go back to the home viewing orientation. You can click the edge, the corner of the cube, look at from the bottom. And also there's another orbit function you can use to rotate the object. So click it, click the object and drag it, and just hit the escape key to get out of the orbit. There's another pan function. You can move left and right, and also you can use scrolling wheel to zoom in or zoom out. Now that we know how to move around in the space, let's create some objects. The first tool I want to show you is this sketch tool. You can click this create sketch icon, and first you need to click the plane you want to draw the sketch on. Let's select this XY plane, and then several options will come up. You can create lines, rectangles, circles, splines, and there's more options when you click the drop down menu. So let's try this spline. Basically you click points, control points, and if you double click, the curve will end, or you can click this green check button, the path will end as well. Most of the time we need to create the closed path. To do that, the endpoints have to meet. So we can create another line, or we basically move these 2 points together. So you can do that like this and drag it. Once the endpoints meet, it will become a closed path. And with this closed path, you can extrude and do other stuff. We will go through that later. And also, because this is spline, you can control the curvature by dragging these points, the green points, make it shorter or longer, or change the direction. You can also move those control points to change the shape, like this. Similarly, you can create other shapes using different tools. When you are done with the sketch, simply click the Finish Sketch. Now we know how to draw 1D features. Let's expand to 3D object. Let's draw some lines first. So we have this circle, and you can see it's a closed path. And now we can make it a 3D object, say 3D cylinder, by using the extrude. So extrude is right here, click it, and you can set the extrusion distance here, or you can simply drag the arrow here. Right, so if you want to extrude below the XY plane, you can drag it downwards or set the negative distance here. This is the most commonly used method to create 3D object from 2D sketch. Another important feature about extrude is that you can use it to cut the object. So let's draw a profile first. And now this is a closed profile. And I can extrude this. You can set the extrude direction to one side, two sides, symmetric. So let's do symmetric. And as you can see, it's default to cut when there's some intersection. But you can choose to join, so that will become one object with this extruded portion. Or you can set it to intersect, so result will be the intersected area. So when you set it to cut, it's literally cutting the original object. If you say OK, this will be the resulting object. And you can see it's cutting the original cylinder to something like this. Let's step back a little bit. Let's go back from the history. When we do the extrude, we choose cut, and actually you can choose new body. So when you do that, you will create a new body from extrusion. So you can see body 1, body 2, two different separate bodies. And next feature I want to bring up is the combine, because now we have two bodies and combine is right here. When you say combine target object, I say this one, and tool body, I say the new extruded body. And now similarly, there's different operations: joint, cut, or intersect. When you say cut, you will do the same thing as you do that when you do the extrude. So combine can be used after you create the object. Let's say you create a complicated shape. So you need to create that first, and then in the end, you use combine to cut that. Let's go back to the combine operation. When you do the combine, you can say keep tools. And I usually do that when I cut the lure out of the mold box, because I still want to keep that lure, that bait model. So I do this, keep tools. So after I cut the lure out of the mold box, I will still have the lure and also the mold afterwards when that's done. Revolve is like extrude, but instead of pulling the profile in one direction, we revolve the profile around an axis. Let's select revolve here. First select profile, and then select axis. And here I already have a swim bait like profile. So I do this, and you can select different type. You can do a full rotation, or you can do an angle. You can do one side or two side or symmetric. Let's try two sides. So we can turn to the side. So basically you can select the starting and ending angle. Let's try full again, say OK. So this is the revolve result from that profile. In Fusion 360, you can split a body using a plane or a surface. Here's how you do it. Split icon is right here. First, select the body to split, and then select the splitting tool, because I want to split it in half right down through the middle. So I select the XY plane. Say OK. And now let's hide the upper part. And you can see I almost created a swim bait. Let's continue on that. So next feature I want to show you is scale, because you can see this is still too fat for swim bait. I want to scale it in this direction. The scale function is under the modified drop-down menu. Scale right here. First, you select the body you want to scale, and then you select the base point. Scale type can be non-uniform or uniform. So if you do uniform, the whole thing will scale with the same rate. But if you do non-uniform, you can scale each direction individually. So I want to scale this way, make it thinner. And as you can see, with a few clicks, we already create something like a swim bait. There are two places you can find pattern function in the Fusion 360. At least that's the two that I'm using. First one is under the sketch. Let's draw a line first. And now, instead of drawing lines one by one, you can use the pattern function to create multiple copies. So select this line, and then you can just drag the arrow on the plot and type in the number, the copies you want, say 10, and that's it. Say OK. I use this method in the bluegill build. Remember to check it out. And the other one is under the general top menu, create here. But let's create an object first. Try this again. Okay, so now we have a cylinder object. Let's create pattern from this object. So again, there's a rectangular and circular, and also there's one extra, pattern on path. So you can create patterns along a path, but let's just try rectangular first. Select body type, object, select this one, and then direction, select the x-axis, and then you can drag the object and make multiple copies like that. This method was heavily used in the centipede build. Thin extrude is similar to regular extrude, except for we can extrude from thin lines rather than a closed profile. Here is an example. We have several lines, and we also have this block, but let's hide that first. Thin extrude is using the same menu, same function as the extrude, but in the extrude function there's this icon, thin extrude. Once you click that, you can select multiple lines or path, and then you can extrude by dragging that. Also, you can use this to create tools to cut an existing object, for example, this block. So just like regular extrude, there's different operations. You can join, cut, intercept, and do the new body. So if we do cut, it will be used as tool to cut the existing object like this. If we do OK, now we have several bodies cut from the original body using the thin extruded tools. Let's go back and see what options we have for thin extrude. Here you can see there's a wall thickness. So currently it's set to 1. Now if we change to 5, you'll see the wall is getting thicker. And you can change the wall location. Currently it's on the side 1. If you change to side 2, it will be on the right of the line. Or you can set it to center, so the wall will be centered. And there's a tip I want to mention here. When we do the thin extrude to cut an object, sometimes you don't want to cut all the way through, because imagine we have hundreds of scales. If we cut all the way through, the body will become hundreds of new bodies. We don't want that. To avoid that, usually I will not cut all the way through. So in the end, I will just have one body. You can try this here. Say OK. As you can see, there's only one body now. Surface extrude is another way to create tools for cutting or splitting. Let's use the previous swim bait as an example. Let's say we want to apply different texture on the body and the head, so we need to cut the head out. So to do that, we need to create a tool. First, let's draw the outline of the cutting surface. Use the spline. That should be good enough. Then finish sketch. Now switch to the surface workspace, extrude, and select the outline you just did. And next, make sure it's on the both sides, so do symmetric, and then you can drag the profile into a surface. The distance doesn't matter as long as it's big enough to cover the whole body. Say OK. Now we have created this cutting tool, and then we can do split here, split body. Select the body to split, and then select the tool we just created. Say OK. Now we have split the swim bait body into two parts. In Fusion 360, you can use chamfer or fillet to smooth out the sharp edges. For example, we have the swim bait here, and you can see the paddle tail edge is pretty sharp. Usually it's not good for the 3D printer. So what I would do is apply chamfer or fillet at this edge, and you can find fillet right here on top menu, and also you can find them in the modified top menu, fillet and chamfer. And chamfer is more about applying the bevels on the edge. Let's try fillet here. Select the edge. As you can see, the edge is smooth now. Sometimes I will use chamfer to do some gouge effect. For example, at this separation, I can apply chamfer on this edge. Let me show you. Do the chamfer. Select edge. Will be this one. Say 2. So if I do that, it will look like a gouging effect on the edge. When we design a model, sometimes we have to create the plane first so we can draw the profile on that plane. The plane construction method that I use the most is the offset and also plane at an angle, which can be found under the construct menu. Let's try the offset plane first. This is pretty straightforward. First, you select the plane that you want to offset from, and then just drag that to the desired location. And you can find that new plane under this construction group. Similarly, plane at an angle, you need to find the line first, the axis, and then just rotate to the angle you want, like this. Loft is like extrude, but instead of extruding from one profile, with loft, you can extrude from one profile and gradually transition to the other profile. Here is an example. I have two profiles on different planes. With loft, I can create an object with smooth transition from one profile to another. What's cool about loft is that you can choose a series of profiles, and Fusion 360 will come up with a smooth transition between all of those profiles. You can use this method to design a streamlined body, for example, a swim bait. Form function is located on the top menu, this purple thingy. Once you click it, in the Create drop-down menu, you can see there are all kinds of different type of forms, and for some of them, you need to create it based on the sketch, and they put a shortcut here. It's kind of handy. I'm going to show you the pipe form, which I used a lot. Let's create a sketch first, just any line will be fine, but let's create a spline. Okay. Now go to the Create drop-down menu, select Pipe. In the Pipe option window, click Path and select the line we just created. Enter the diameter. Select Display Mode for visualization. Box display will give you a faster rendering during the process, but if your system can handle the rendering, just select the Smooth Display. In the End Types tab, select End Type. Depends on the design that you want to achieve. If you are making something pointy, you can choose Spike. Otherwise, Square option is fine. Under the Segments tab, select Density, and you can select just enough to capture the curvature in your design. Now let's go back to the Sections tab. Remember this global diameter? If you want to apply different diameters on each end of the pipe, you can switch to section mode right here and make the adjustment on those yellow lines. Next, in the Symmetry, select the Mirror option and set the corresponding faces 1 and 2. This is very useful if you are making something symmetric. Now we are ready to do some sculpting. Go to Modify drop-down, select Edit Form. Basically, you can modify points, scale and rotate the faces and edges. Just play with them until you are happy. Similarly, you can use other types of forms for your initial template and start from something that's already close to your final goal. Alright, there you have it. This is about 90 or 95% of features that I will use when I design a lure and mold. For me, it's still a learning process. I still find new ways of modeling every now and then. Without the modeling tools and 3D printers, I can only dream about my own lures. But now, I can put them into reality. So I think this deserves a name. Let's just call it Computer-Aided Lure Design, or CALD. Yes, CALD. Anyways, if you find this tutorial helps, please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you have any design that you would like to see next, or just want to share your cool ways of fusion modeling, leave your comments down below. I would really appreciate it. See you next time. Peace out.